So I was pretty sure that my numbers would be way down in June. Was I right? Welcome to Learn with Mr. Lewis. I am, of course, Mr. Lewis, and today I am sharing my TPT income from the last month, which would be June of 2024. A little bit about me. I am a full-time middle school social studies teacher in Arizona. So all of what I'm doing here on TPT, I am doing while working my regular full-time job as a teacher. This was my 11th full month on TPT. I did have a little, like half of July of 2023, which is when I got started, right there, the middle of July. Now you can view my previous income reports, and there are some links in the description or up in the top right now. So June, in Arizona here, we're already out of school. Most places about halfway through are out of school. So thanks, dogs. Thank you for chiming in. They were just agreeing with me. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah. So my thought was June is not going to be a great month. I don't know that people are really in the mode of looking toward next year that much. I know I am not yet in June. Anyway, so I expected not a great month, but it was a lot better than I expected. Okay, so let's take a look. First off, my followers did increase. I'm up to 71 followers. I got 2 more reviews, which I really appreciate. I have 128 products in my store. So let's go ahead and look at those numbers. Okay, let's start with earnings for the month of June. So as you can see, I got $202.27. This is a good $100 or more from what I was expecting. I felt I would be lucky to just hit 100, and if I had hit 100, I would have been ecstatic. And I know that maybe this feels like a theme. It seems like the last few months I've been like, wow, I didn't expect to do much, and oh, I did so great. But I'm just being honest with you. I did not expect to get a lot of sales these last few months of the school year, and certainly not in a summer month. So I'm really delighted, humbled, whatever, by how well I've done. And I know that there are probably some of you out there that are rolling your eyes and you're like, if I got $202 in sales, I would be extremely disappointed, because you're probably a lot farther along in this process than I am. But for others of you, maybe you're just getting started. And so this hopefully is really encouraging to you to see that if you work hard and you build things, you can have some success even in that first year. So anyway, so I did have 13 days in June where I had no sales. My highest earning day was $25.95. My lowest earning day where I earned something was $1.04. I'm kind of used to those. Those are my low price items that only make me that much. But my average through May for my store, my monthly average was sitting at $305. So to get 202 in a month like June, I was pretty excited about that, because again, I was expecting that I was going to be making under $100. Okay, so let's look now at the units sold. So this is a weird one for me. This is a strange month in Mr. Lewis land, because I had a solid month, especially for June, with $202 in sales, but I only sold 31 items. Now this is way below my store average, because up to this point my store average had been 108 items per month. So why only 31, and why am I okay with that? Well, I sold a lot of high-priced items, at least high-priced for my store. So my average price per product for my sales so far, up to this point this year, had been $2.83. So I was averaging $2.83 per sale. For June, it was $6.52. So that's almost $4 more. That's more than twice what I had been averaging. And so even though my units sold were lower, I was selling those higher priced items, which in a lot of ways doesn't surprise me, because most of my lower priced items are the type of item that you would purchase maybe last minute because you're having a sub, or like me, when I get severe migraines. And so there are days as a teacher where I have to adjust my lesson plan and do something simple that I wasn't expecting. And I have a number of items in my store that are low-priced items that are really designed for that sort of situation. And those sold actually pretty well at the beginning of June, which isn't a big surprise, I guess, end of May, beginning of June, because people are kind of scrambling there at the end of the year to find things to do sometimes. But since that time, for a lot of this month, I should say, I was selling my bigger priced items, my bundles, people really looking ahead to next year, which I was kind of surprised and impressed, I must say, because I have a hard time thinking about the new school year when it's June. So kudos to you early planners who are already looking at things for next school year. All right, so let's look at the views now for the month of June 2024. I had 286 views, which, like the number of sales, the number of items sold, is way low for how my store has been up to this point. My average up through May of 2024 was 940 views per month, and so 286 is a lot lower. But again, that makes sense because it's June, and so I'm just delighted that the things that people were viewing and the things that people were buying in my store were those higher priced items. Oh, I wanted to note something there. You see where it says new data source right there in the middle of June on the graph? I wanted to kind of mention what that is all about. So TPT apparently has a new data source that it's using. That's why you may have noticed some changes as far as the way your app is operating. Like, you used to get instant updates in the app, and I'm assuming that it's because of this new data source that's why we're not. Is it data or is it data? I don't know. Data source. Pick your poison. Anyway, I think that's why it's not updating all the time. It's supposed to only now update twice a day, which to me is lame because I enjoy being able to just pop on the app and see how I'm doing. Now, you can still do that, of course, through the TPT website. You can go and see those sales reports, but it's not as convenient as just being able to glance at the app and kind of see how you're doing for the day. So I don't know if this is going to change at all in the future, but for right now, it's not something that I'm thrilled with. But there it is. So I'm assuming that that's all tied to that, as to why the app is not updating constantly. Okay, so let's move to the conversion rate for the month of June. So my conversions were a little bit lower than average. I was at 11%. My average up to this point had been 13%, at least over the last 6 months. So a little bit below the average, but still a good conversion rate at 11%. I also wonder if, because I was in my store working on products, uploading products this month, during June, if some of that conversion rate is tied into my own views of my own products, and that's why it was a little lower. I really don't know. But it's still in the double digits, and that's really what I'm shooting for. If I can be in the double digits, I'm ecstatic. So 11%, I will take that. Okay, so let's look now at my total earnings. This graph to me is not super useful. It kind of gives me a headache looking at it. But the numbers are interesting. So you can see as of the end of June of 2024, I was at $3,298.37, which again, my wife was giving me a little bit of a pep talk before I started this video. I was having a why am I even doing all of this moment, because it's so much work and I've been working so hard for these last few weeks here over the summer. I've been putting in long days and long hours to try to get things ready for the coming school year in my TPT store. And she's like, hey, if you had, known a year ago, basically, when you got started on all of this, that you would have made this much money in that first year, how would you feel about it? And I was like, well, I would feel great. And so I had to remind myself of that and not get too caught up in the fact that I have put in so many hours and my hourly wage is not great so far. But the hope is that it will be, and that I'm building for the future, and that over the coming years, the hard work that I've put in this past year will really, really pay off. So anyway, my next big goal, I guess you could say, would be to hit 5K, hit 5,000. And I'm hoping that I will be able to do that maybe even by the end of September. We'll see. Like, that might be a little bit of a lofty goal. That would mean basically doubling my sales from that time period from August, September of last year. I don't know if that's a realistic thing or not, but I'm hoping that happens. So we'll see. And again, I've done all of this while working full-time as a teacher, and full-time dog dad, and now I guess dog grandpa. I don't know. We've got a third dog. She's delightful. She's darling. But the third dog is my daughter's dog, who is a college graduate working full-time and living here at our house as she's doing that. And now she has this dog, and she's super cute, but she's like 6 months old, so there's a lot of work with this new puppy. But anyway, so I'm rambling. But I'm doing all of that, and it's a lot on my plate, but I'm seeing it start to really bear fruits, and I'm hoping it will pay off in the future. And so here is, of course, the fancy Mrs. Lewis graph that I like better than the one we were just looking at, because even though that one gives the grand total, it doesn't really give you a sense of how things have gone over the course of this almost year now. And so you can see down a little bit from May, but still higher than both March and April. And hopefully, as the new year comes along, like I said, I'll be hitting higher numbers, maybe even every month. I don't know. That's probably not realistic to count on every month doing better than I did the month the year before, but we shall see. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, so I did get a couple of reviews, and I wanted to share those with you and just remind everyone of how important it is to review people's products. It really has a great benefit on people's stores, and it can really boost your confidence. I know it does for me when I get a positive review. I really appreciate them. And you do get a little bit of TPT credit to make purchases. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. So definitely review items when you purchase them on TPT. So this first one is on one of my video guides for the series The Revolution. This is from a Blue Teacher who's a TPT seller. Kudos. And anyway, this is what a Blue Teacher said. Extremely satisfied, 5 stars. This was an easy to use resource for my students to use and to understand. And this was used with 8th graders, primarily students with learning disabilities. So that's really awesome that you found this to be useful. I appreciate that. And then from Allison E., who is a frequent purchaser and reviewer of my products. I really do appreciate the effort that she has put in, not just to buy my products, but to use my products and to review them and to make me feel like what I'm doing is worth it. So I appreciate that. She gave it 5 stars to June, and she says, my students love these. If I miss a day, they are always upset and like to know what happened. And she's using it with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So that's awesome. Thanks again, Allison E. So I want to look now at a question that I got from one of these TPT income reports on YouTube. I thought it was a great question, and I appreciate it, and I wanted to try to address at least some of the issues in that, if I could, for a few minutes here. Hey, Zoe. All right. That felt passive-aggressive. Anyway, okay. Zoe did. Sorry. All right. So here we go. This is from @GreatGovResources. And this person says, hi, Mr. Lewis. I found your store and this channel and have really enjoyed hearing candidly about your TPT journey. So thank you so much for making these monthly TPT videos. Question, you always show units sold. Can you also talk about which units specifically you are finding to be your best sellers? I am currently starting up my store and trying to decide what products to get up first, but I am not as sure what products are more likely to sell. Also, how are you driving traffic/views to your store? Thanks so much. So I did respond to this person briefly on YouTube, and I talked a little bit about trying to find a signature product that has similar sort of repeat versions like my Today in History. That's super helpful because that's a product. And I guess going along with that, I really recommend choosing products that you know are good, that you have tested them in your classroom, and going with that, not trying to necessarily at first at least And I never really have yet. I don't know what I'll do in the future, but everything that I have put in my store is either something that I have used or plan to use, or is very similar to something that I have used in my classroom. And my Today in History warm-ups are something that not only I have used them, but my colleagues at my school, the other people in my department, are using them as well. And so I know that it's something that's not just for my classroom and my students, but works with other teachers who are in social studies classrooms. It's something that I've also shared with our teacher who teaches the autism program at our school, and she has used them with her students with real success. So this was a product that when I decided to start really with this a year ago, around a year ago is when I started really working on it. I believed that it would be successful because I had a lot of faith in the product myself, and I knew that it had been really effective for me, and I'd had some years of tinkering with it to get it the way I wanted it. I do it differently now than I did 4 years ago, for example, 4 or 5 years ago when I first started using it. Well, I guess it's more like 6 years ago that I first started with it. But anyway, I've made some changes to it and tweaks to make it something that I think is a really good product. So that would be my first recommendation as far as what products to sell, is find something that you know is a high quality item, especially if it's something that you can do like I have done, where there's one for each month. I know that not everyone's would be for each month, but similar versions of it, maybe a similar type product that you could then make off that first one that is just using a different topic or something. That would be my first recommendation. My other recommendation is to try to find some really easy to make, easy to upload, don't take a lot of time, that you sell for a low price on your site. This is what I do with those video guides. They're super easy to do. Many of them were ones I had made over the years as a teacher for more than 20 years. I had some of these floating around and so all I had to do was just get them up to a TPT standard, I guess you could say, which didn't take much time at all. I don't make a lot of money off of each sale, but even when $1.04 rolls in, it feels good to make a sale. So that's kind of what I've done. I don't know if that's the method or the best method, but that's the way I've approached it. And that's the recommendation I would have for that. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of little graphs that you can see, or charts that you can see through TPT that might help answer some of those questions. So if you look at that over on the left-hand side, you've got sales. And we're talking about how to review your sales and your views by product. So if you look over there, you can see that my big seller is my semester 1 Today in History warm-up bundle, and that I sold 122 of those. And if you look at the name of that product, it's kind of kooky, and I just made a new change to it like a couple of days ago. So that would be another video, I think, for another time. I'd love to go into how to name your products and how to do a good description of the product that help get you the views within TPT. So that would be something I'd like to do on a future video and talk about kind of the process that I've gone through to try to get that the way that I want it, so that when people search something, they're finding my products. So anyway, but you can see there my sales, 122 sales, really mirrors what you see over on the right-hand side, which is the activity. And these are different tabs that you can click on to see different sorts of statistics, and you can change the way that it's ordered, whether it's by page views or money that you've made off of it or whatever. But as you can see, they really mirror each other. Like my product that has the most sales, not surprisingly, also has the most views. I think that that's probably not a big surprise, and that the items that are high sale items are also high view items. So let's say that you have a product and you're looking at these charts right here, and you're seeing that you're getting views, but it's not really translating into sales. So then I would try to look at, okay, so what am I missing? Maybe do some searches and look at what other people's products that are similar, that are, especially ones that have a lot of reviews that indicate they've had a lot of sales on that product. Take a look at that and see, okay, so what's different about this product? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the description? What am I missing that other people who are selling similar products are doing and that's driving their sales. That would just be a recommendation I would have, especially if you're in that situation where you're getting views but they're not translating into sales. Okay, so another really great part of that question was how I'm driving views, how I'm driving traffic into my store. And I can tell you right now, I don't have all the answers to this. But I do things, okay? I don't know how successful each of those things happens to be, but there are things that I do. And you can go within the dashboard and see this chart here, this marketplace traffic sources, and it gives you a little bit of a sense of where these things are coming from. You can see that I have a certain number of views, 183 click-throughs from YouTube. That would be from this YouTube channel. I have a Pinterest page I'll talk more about that has driven some views. TPT emails, Google AdWords, Facebook.com. Those are all the kind of main things that I want to talk about. You can also, through this same area on the TPT site, it will show you what your sales were from those clicks. But I feel like this is kind of misleading because let's say that a person comes over from YouTube, but all they do is wish list something, or they put something in the cart but they don't buy it right away. It won't necessarily count when they do buy it as a sale from YouTube as far as TPT is concerned, and so it won't show up as being that. So the sales part of that I just don't find useful. I find it misleading. I'm more interested in just seeing what views I'm getting from these different sources. And you can definitely see there that YouTube and Pinterest are the ones that are driving most of the traffic. So let's talk first about, or a little bit about YouTube, which is where you're watching this video. So thank you. But it's definitely a lot of work. I'm not saying everyone should go out and start a YouTube channel if they have a TPT store. Definitely not. But it's something that for me, I feel has been helpful, and I'm hoping that it will continue to be so. It's something that I have mostly enjoyed doing, but it is a lot of work for both me and for Mrs. Lewis. And it is something that has driven traffic into my store, and I hope that that becomes an exponential thing and continues to drive more traffic to the store. You can see I do these daily history videos. That's a big part of that. And then, of course, these TPT income reports. So Pinterest, I would say that I post, but it's actually Mrs. Lewis who posts the new products as I upload them, and she also will post one of my Today in History like cards for each day on Pinterest. And anyway, so that's another thing that I've done. And I guess part of what I would say here is you kind of have to decide how all in you are when it comes to all of this. Like, I decided last summer that I was all in, that I was going to dedicate a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that I was going to have to sacrifice maybe some personal time or things that I enjoy doing, watching, less sports than I might otherwise watch, or, less TV shows and other things that I just knew I wouldn't have time to do and haven't had as much time to do, as I have been committing myself to really going all in on trying to make my my business that I've been running here for about a year to try to make this business successful. And so you kind of have to decide how all in you are. And I'm not saying that my way is the way to do it. That's what I've decided to do. And you have to decide how much you're willing to commit to that. Is it worth it to you to not just do what you're doing on TPT, but to also do things on YouTube, do things on Pinterest, Facebook, etc. And it may not be. Now, some of it doesn't take a lot of time, and so it isn't a huge stretch to post these things necessarily on Pinterest. But you have to decide whether that's worth it to you with everything else you have going on. I mean, we all know as teachers that teaching full-time is a time-consuming job, a job where you're going to be working outside of your regular contract hours just to do the job. And so to pile on top of that all of this other stuff is a lot to ask. So it's okay, I think, to grow your store slowly and to take your time and to not beat yourself up if you're not instantly seeing sales, and to just keep working and tweaking things and then seeing how much you can add in order to really drive that traffic if it's worth it to you to do some of those other things. So Google AdWords, I'm assuming is this. I actually don't know 100% for sure, but I believe that Google AdWords that it was showing on that page was has to do with my Google website, which I have created, well, which Mrs. Lewis created. And on that website, all of my products are posted. All of my YouTube videos are posted on there as well. And so I have gotten some traffic from that. It's not a ton, but it's also not a lot of work to maintain that Google website. I have also posted things on Facebook. I have an Instagram that mirrors that Facebook page. Again, this is not something that has been a huge success for me. You can see I have a whopping 11 followers on my Facebook page there, but it's also not a lot of effort, not a lot of time to just put those videos onto there, the links to those, so that people can maybe go from there onto my YouTube page and then maybe from there into my store. Anyway, I also put products on there too, so they can go right into the TPT store from Facebook or Instagram. That's something that's not a ton of work, but also it doesn't look like it's been a huge lucrative thing for me. The note to followers is another thing. This is something that you can do right there through TPT. And so I do one of these each month, and occasionally at other times to highlight a new product that I'm posting. And this is what it looks like. So you can see I put a couple of featured products and I give a little info about how things are going. You can look at, in fact, I would follow stores of sellers that are selling products that are similar to what you're looking at doing, and seeing what they're doing as far as their note to followers. I think that's a big thing that could be really successful for you. I know that's something I've done. A lot of people are making fancier note to followers than I am, and that's great. But it's nice to look at what those successful sellers are doing. Okay, so what are my plans for July? Well, my plans are to work a lot, put in a lot of hours, get as much done as I can until I'm back to school, which for me is at the beginning of August. I know some of you are even earlier than that. Yikes. But anyway, summer goes too fast, let's face it. I'd love to know how June went for you. Also, it would be amazing if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And another great thing you can subscribe to is my email list. There's a link in the description. Also, be sure to check out my Today in History videos on this YouTube channel. I think you'll find some interesting things there. And I do an income report each month, just right at the beginning of the month, about the previous month. All right, and that's it. Thanks.